to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into Pater for a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Cody Felger, Derek Larger joining you as always. So, guys, we're talking a lot about the Eric Fisher news and talking about how great that is for our offensive line. And, you know, we started talking and started debating amongst ourselves just how good this offensive line can actually be with a fully healthy Eric Fisher. Mm-hmm. So we kind of wanted to break it down and kind of debate and look at some of the other offensive lines around the league and compare them to our offensive line and what we think our offensive line stacks up with a fully healthy Eric Fisher and a fully healthy offensive line for the rest of these teams. I think a couple of them that come to mind, and I think that, you know, it's debatable what you guys want to think here. Let us know in the comments whether or not you believe the Colts will have the best offensive line in football, or whether you think one of the teams that I mentioned here is going to be above us, or if you think there's one that I missed that truly does have a better offensive line than what the Colts do. Kind of hard to think of some of those, but I mean, let's kind of go into a few of these names here, Cody. And you and I were talking right before this and kind of gave you a few names as to a couple of the names that I thought were really good. I think an offensive line that you really have to look at maybe wasn't better than the Colts offensive line last year specifically, but one that I really think can become better than the Colts offensive line, and that was Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I don't know whether that's just due to the fact of how they changed their offense because of Tom Brady. You know, Tom Brady does have a good way of moving around the pocket. They do things a little differently there that are much better. But Tristan Wirfs, you know, the rookie right tackle that they drafted out of Iowa, I mean, that kid was playing at an all-pro level last year. One of their left guard, Ali Marpet, he was really good last year. I mean, those two guys were some of the best young offensive linemen in the whole league last year, and they're still so young. So, I mean, where do you think Tampa Bay's offensive line stacks up versus ours?
Who are the other guys? Like, read me their left tackle. Read me their center. I think their center is Ryan Jensen. Who are the other guys on that offensive line? Because those guys are good players. I'm just curious, like the other guys.
Yep, I'm going to take a look at that because I want to make sure too.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me see here. Got to find the right thing for it. I know that they got Joe Haig, but I don't even really think he played that much last year, did he?
No, he didn't. He wasn't a starter. So
yeah, I was going to say. I know he didn't play very much. I just noticed. So, okay, here we go. Okay, left tackle was Donovan Smith. Left guard, Ali Marpet. Center, Ryan Jensen. Right guard, Aaron Steinel. And right tackle, Tristan Wirfs.
Okay. I mean, I think Tristan Wirfs and Braden Smith we would agree they both had pretty good seasons. I mean, we argue that Braden Smith had an all-pro season. He just didn't get recognized for whatever reason. So I don't know. Those guys are pretty close to me, pretty on par. Maybe Tristan Wirfs is slightly better, but I don't know. You could go back and forth on that. I mean, Quentin Nelson's the best offensive lineman in the game. So I think from that standpoint, and then looking at the center, I think Ryan Kelly's a better center than Ryan Jensen. And then right guard, I don't really know a whole lot about that guy. I've never really heard of him. But I think Mark Golinsky's been an above-average starter. So, I mean, but you can't just credit what Tampa did in that Super Bowl. I mean, that's the reason they won, because they were able to protect Tom Brady. They were able to run the football really effectively. And the Colts can do the same thing, right? And now with signing Eric Fisher at left tackle, I think – and right now I would give the edge to Tampa Bay at left tackle because Donovan Smith isn't injured, right? Eric Fisher's injured right now. I think I would give him over Sam Tevy right now. So I think the Colts have the potential to have a better offensive line, but there's questions around that left tackle that kind of make me a little bit hesitant to give it to them right now, but I think it's very close with both these offensive lines. I mean, I don't want to discredit either of these offensive lines because they're both phenomenal, right? They both are able to pound the rock when they need to, protect the quarterback when they need to. And I do wonder like how much, it is like you mentioned with Tom Brady, like he just has such a great way of getting the ball out quickly and, limiting the sacks. So obviously I don't want to discredit that offensive line, but I wonder how much Tom Brady even helped it even more this last season. And the Colts probably did the same thing with Phillip Rivers. I mean, Rivers was a statue, but he's a very smart player as well. So yeah, I think they're right on par with each other, man.
Yeah. Another name that, another team's offensive line that last season, overall, I don't think gets enough credit for how good their offensive line was. That was the Green Bay Packers. Now, granted, I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that their offensive line is better than ours this year due to the simple fact they lost their best offensive lineman in Corey Linsley. He's gone, so he's not going to be back. They're missing a right tackle at this point, so they still have to figure that one out. But Billy Turner, Elkton Jenkins, Lucas Patrick were on there. I mean, obviously, like I said, last year their offense was so good because they were able to pass the ball very effectively. Aaron Rodgers had an MVP year, and then Aaron Jones and those running backs. I mean, they were really running the ball last year very, very well. I mean, you think the Packers still have any chance of matching up with the Colts this year, or you think that's it for them?
Well, if you mentioned they're missing a left tackle and now a center, I don't think so. Because the Colts know who they have at right tackle and center right now, and both those players are Pro Bowl, all-pro players, right? I mean, obviously David Bakhtiari is incredible. He's an incredible offensive lineman. I definitely give them the edge there. But overall, as a unit, I think the Colts have a better unit, and they have better depth too. So I'd probably give the nod to the Colts in this instance because of those reasons.
Yeah. Okay, and here's a name I'll mention over some of these other ones just due to the simple fact of who they have at both tackle spots, and that's the New Orleans Saints. Terron Armstead at left tackle, Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle, both really great forces in the run game and do really well in pass protection. I mean, you could argue if Eric Fisher doesn't come back to true form, then the New Orleans Saints probably have the best tackle duo in all of the NFL when you're looking at just opposite ends. I mean, how do you feel about the Saints and their offensive line? Because they always seem to be adding pieces to it.
They do, and they have one of the best offensive lines in the league for a reason. How is their interior, though? That's my biggest question. I think that definitely they have the best tackle duo right now in the league. But my question is, how is their interior?
Yeah, that is a good question. I try to remember. Go to depth chart. Here we go. Yeah, so Terron Armstead, Andreas Pete, Eric McCoy in the middle, Cesar Ruiz. He was their first round draft pick that they got out of Michigan. I think it was last year. So they moved him from center to right guard because I think he played more right guard in college. And then obviously Ryan on the other end. So, I mean, not as star-studded in the middle as they normally are on the outsides, but that's not a bad interior either.
It's not. No, it's not. And it really, for me, will depend on Eric Fisher. Like, if Eric Fisher can get back to form, Colts are going to take it all day because of their interior especially. But, if Eric Fisher can't recover and it's Sam Tevi out there, it might be a little closer than that. You know what I mean? So I think it really will depend on Eric Fisher. I mean, a lot of this is obviously going to depend on him. But I think the Colts have a better interior. But right now, the Saints have better tackles. And, 3-2. So I give the Colts just a slight edge there against the Saints.
Gotcha. And I mean, another name that, you could kind of make a case for, or at least you once could make a case for, was the San Francisco 49ers. They have a couple of pieces here and there, but they've lost a couple over the last few years. So it makes a lot of sense that, they've kind of dropped a little bit on that list. Especially last year, a couple times they had some injuries and whatnot. But the only other team that when a fully healthy Colts offensive line is ready, I think for me personally, the only one that's better than the one that could be the Colts, and this is a maybe, is the Cleveland Browns. Okay, the Cleveland Browns, these last few years have really been investing in that offensive line, and it has been paying diligence. I mean, you could also make the argument again, this is a team also that has the best left tackle, right tackle combo at this moment. Jedrick Wills Jr., when they drafted him out of Alabama, really, really good. I mean, outside of Wirfs, was the best offensive lineman drafted out of that draft, and it wasn't even close. And then, they acquired Jack Conklin from the Tennessee Titans, a stud right tackle. He was really good for them. Joel I think it's Bitonio, J.C. Treader at center, and right guard, it's Wyatt Teller. So, I mean, this offensive line for Cleveland, I mean, just the way they're able to run the football and still give Baker Mayfield all day to throw the football. I mean, this one really competes with the Colts here because these guys are just really good.
They are so good. Yeah, I mean, we saw it last year against Cleveland. Like, they are incredible, and they have two really good running backs. They have a good quarterback. They have, weapons. They have about everything you're looking for in an offense. I mean, I think maybe the Colts have like one or two advantages, but overall, I think Cleveland right now, because we don't know left tackle fully, I think I'm going to give the nod to Cleveland just barely. But I think I'm going to. And that's not a knock against the Colts offensive line. It's just Cleveland has been investing and investing and investing just like the Colts have.
So is that with a fully healthy Eric Fisher, or are we still talking just right now?
Again, it does depend on Eric Fisher. I think right now with the unknown in it with Eric Fisher, I'm going to give it to Cleveland, but it's so close, man. It's so close, especially with Eric Fisher. I think they are right on par with each other. And I don't want to discredit either of these teams because they are both fantastic offensive lines. So, that's really tough, man. That's a really tough one for me to go against Cleveland with what they've done, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm totally with you.
Oh, that's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah. We'll kind of have to see just how Eric Fisher gets, and then we'll be able to make get a better understanding of just how far the offensive line comes with Eric Fisher. I think Cody and I are both in agreement here that, this offensive line is top 3 in the league when fully healthy. It's just debatable on which guy you want specifically. But ultimately, guys, I mean, just let us know what you think in the comments. I mean, we can kind of go off of 2020, but we know that things change. I mean, it's just way too early to really know who's doing what. But again, guys, let us know in the comments what you guys think when it comes to the Colts offensive line and just how good they are versus the rest of the league. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.